Welcome, guys. We're going to talk today about your efforts in your teaching areas as far as student-centered learning, and talk about some reflections from the first semester. Now we're done with it. So, question one, how do you feel about your teaching efforts after finishing the first semester? Well, let's start with you.
Okay, I liked it. I think there was a lot of improvement from day one to day, whatever the final day of the semester was, on a lot of different avenues. But I really think that probably the biggest thing, and you probably agree with this too, is that my classroom management got better. Like, my kids began to trust me and believe that what I was doing, the instruction I was providing them, was actually for their betterment. That I wasn't just making them do busy work. We were really going somewhere with this instruction. And I felt that if I had given them the same lesson on day one, the same lesson on the last day they gave on day one, they would have freaked. But they kind of understood what I was going for, so they gave me that little bit of rope, a little bit of leeway. And then once we did it, it was pretty satisfying for them. So I'm happy with it.
Good.
Yeah, that was good.
Okay. Jeff?
Pretty happy with mine as well. I thought there was a good progression of improvement throughout the course of the semester. I think a lot of it had to do with just taking the time to get to know my students. That broke down some barriers, made things a little easier. Communication was definitely easier. It wasn't without issue, but was a lot smoother. I made up a whole bunch of a series of process goals earlier in the first PLP. And I think I've stuck to those for the most part. I've added on, kind of modified as I've gone, mainly adding, and I'm trying to make a conscious effort to focus on those.
Okay. What kind of specific changes are you
like number one, getting to know the students.
Okay.
Trying to be non-confrontational, more one-on-one conversation when I have the opportunity, instead of calling out students among their peers.
Yeah.
Which tends to escalate things pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then just focusing on letting the students have more of a voice, so they can take more ownership in the class.
Gotcha. Okay. And then just hit the space bar.
Can I ask a question? This might not be real. Did you find that the more feedback the more you allow them to kind of dictate the pace of the class, the more they bought in?
For certain students, yes, but not all students. But yeah, I think the more ownership kind of give it, I think things improve.
Yeah, your answer is exactly what I was saying, because I do that same thing. We talked about that at the beginning. It's like, hey, it's your class. How do you want to approach this? I get about 75, 80% of the kids like, man, we get those couple kids that are just like, okay, I can't,
Yeah, that's the puzzle, isn't it? Trying to get them engaged.
Yeah.
You guys both have very tough groups to deal with, but you're making headway, and you can see it. You can actually see them responding. The difference between your first time around when it came by and the second time is night and day for both of you. So that's great.
Plus, we had a big influx in the fifth period. A bunch of new kids.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Changed the culture overnight. I can see my older students were kind of almost being a little bit possessive, like about, well, this is how we do it. And so we're having a discussion, and they were like, really, kids who normally were a little bit on the quiet side were really chiming in and being like, oh yeah, I got this anyways, right?
Nice.
But cool. And I thought, that's pretty nice. They're like, they took some ownership in the class. Then the new kids were just, hopefully they'll just like get in line. Right? Cool. Realize that we have to go back and start over with that one.
So let's focus on the times I came and observed your class in the last couple weeks. So after reflecting on the lesson I observed in your class, do you feel that your lesson achieved your intended outcome?
I do. I think the kids really understand what Roosevelt was trying to do with that whole fireside chat and how that applies to their life today, what Trump's trying to do with the tweets. I think they were able to see the emotion that people in their 30s were feeling. Right? So we'd read all these first-hand accounts before that, and they really understood why these people reacted so emotionally and aggressively about supporting it. They were kind of outlandish, some of them, right? They were just got behind them. So I think it accomplished all that. They saw the human side of it. That's what I was hoping to do.
Okay. Good. And then what kinds of activities within that did you allow the students to do to help them get a feel for tweeting?
Well, I had them tweet, as you know, I had them tweet the principal. Did I tell you this story? So they had to write a tweet. Jennifer Graves was in our room, so they had to write a tweet to the principal, anything they wanted. And they struggled with trying to make a concise argument in 140 characters. And they realized pretty quickly that's probably not the best medium for getting long, involved ideas across, right? And so then on the back end of that, they'd read they had to analyze the fireside speech and the people's responses to it. They had to write their own response. Like I was telling you yesterday, it was in 1930s. They were as if they were in 1933 hearing it for the first time, just coming through the Depression, it's all their money. Now they got a much longer, vehicle to express their feelings and their wants and desires. And so they kind of figured out that it makes more sense to stop, think it through, write it out, than it does just to fire off 140 characters in the moment. They realized pretty quickly once you shoot it out there, you can't get it back. Right? Once they brought up stuff to Jennifer Graves, they were like, oh, well, I think because they had to verbalize it right on the spot. So that was pretty interesting.
Good.
That would be interesting.
Good. What are your thoughts on your physical testing? That you guys
Yeah,
did?
obviously ours is a lot different than
Sure.
but it was it was interesting. I think we did accomplish what we were setting out to accomplish.
Okay.
I would do things maybe a little bit differently next time.
Okay.
Kind of break it into groups so I can really watch and be diligent about making sure that every kid is doing things exactly the way it's supposed to be done.
Right.
But yeah, I think we did get out what we intended to get out of it.
Okay. Cool. So you kind of answered my next question about improvements next time around. So you're going to refocus your efforts on grouping them up and be more specific about instruction.
Yeah, smaller groups, maybe split them up a little bit so there's less distraction, and then while also being able to kind of keep a close eye over everybody.
Right.
And then also having everyone, not everyone, but maybe pulling a couple students to model exactly what we're looking for.
There you go.
So every student gets a visual of what we're looking for as
Yeah.
teachers.
So in your area, you guys did physical testing on both push-ups and sit-ups and minimum requirements that you had to get in order to achieve the A goal for that.
Right.
So, yeah, you definitely modeled the sit-ups. Or no, what did you guys do first? The push-ups.
We did push-ups first, yeah.
Modeled the push-ups.
Yep.
But then got right into the focus of the
Got right into sit-ups without
sit-ups
having
without having to do that.
student model.
Okay.
Which was a
Maybe
mistake.
next time.
Yeah,
just do that.
absolutely.
Okay. So same question to you though. If you had a chance to modify things, second time around, would you change it?
I would. We looked at fireside chats 1 and 2, and I think that was a little bit. It went too far. It was too much reading. I think I would look at fireside chat, do the tweets, fireside chat 1, have them read the letters from fireside chat 1, and then write their letter right there after. So it's just really fresh. Like they heard them speak, then they read it, and they read the responses, and they write right there.
Gotcha.
Then we do the second fireside chat maybe the next day. It just seemed to be it ended up breaking right before the letter.
Yeah.
And I felt like that on block schedules, that extra day in there, maybe diminish that letter a little bit. They had to go back and refresh themselves on what they read. So I'd rather hit kind of strike while the iron's hot and then do the second half and kind of start the process over.
Okay. That makes sense. So lastly here, you're required to provide some evidence for Cycle 4 about your teaching efforts in the area of student-centered instruction. Jeff, what's your plan to provide evidence for that?
To provide not only pictures but video evidence of students modeling, going through the activities, and continue to do that. So we're on a new unit now, so I will take more video, more photos of our new unit, some of the methods we're using to involve the students and create that type of student-centered environment to just upload those pictures to the website.
Okay, great. Rob?
I'm going to upload samples of student work, both the tweets they'd written to the principal and then the letters they wrote to President Roosevelt. I think those are pretty good representations of the lesson. And then I agree with you. I think video and pictures are awesome. I know last time I videotaped them doing the presentations. So we have presentations coming up now for World War II. I think I'll videotape those too because it's kind of a cool lesson we're doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, that kind of wraps up Cycle 4 then. So as soon as you guys upload your gear, I'll be able to approve things. And
What's it do?
I think about a week. So you're good. Still got
Still
some
good
time. Middle of February. Let's see what's that date. Sure, February maybe the 12th.
Should be the 14th, right? Valentine's Day is my Valentine's Day.
I want to say the 16th.
So maybe it's due at the end of that
for
week.
some reason.
Okay, perfect. You guys still got some time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Right on.
Dude, that's old school Daily Planner.
You know,
Thanks for listening.